Okay, so far we have created our 9 Lambda functions through CloudFormation template, and then in the last lecture we have created our state machine in Step Functions, organizing and orchestrating these Lambda functions together to create this state machine. So heading back to the console, and we will test this state machine to see how it behaves with different inputs. So in the console I will head to Step Functions. I see here the state machine I have created. So I will step into the state machine and I will create a new execution. Here it asks you for the input for this execution, and as you remember we have to input two things, the product ID and the quantity. 3 should be an acceptable quantity, so we should have inventory for 3 items of product ID 1. So this should take us to the execution flow where we are going to process this order. So I will start execution here. It shows you how the execution is going. So as you see, it's completed now, and it took the path of processing the order. And in this view, you can actually view how this execution went. You can process and see every single step of this execution. So at receive order, you can see the input and the output as we defined it in our Lambda function. And for the choice, stay the same. And you see that the choice decided that this is enough inventory because inventory exists is true. So it went to the process order branch. And as you see here, for each one of these, you can see the input. So the input is inventory exists true and the product ID is 1. The output is process order and product ID is 1. Update inventory. As we defined them in the code of the Lambda functions, they just return their name just to indicate that this is coming from the correct Lambda function, and they pass through the product ID. Same here, chip order, send notification, update order. So we have moved product ID all the way from the start of the process to the end of the process, and we can also add some custom outputs from each of these steps, and this custom output is passed to the next step. So let's have another execution with a quantity that's more than 5, and according to our logic we cannot accept more than 5 items of a product, so this should take us to the other branch of the workflow. So I will head back to process order v1 and I will create a new execution. Start execution. So as you see here, it took the other path of declining this order because at check inventory, the input was that inventory exists is false because we don't have enough inventory for the 7 items. And this took the execution to the decline path. Also, if you head down here, you will see a full kind of a log, and it logs in details of the actions with each of these steps. So for example, it logs that a state has entered, and then a Lambda function is scheduled, and then a Lambda function started, a Lambda function succeeded, task state exited. So it logs like 4 or 5 incidents for a single state. And if you dig into any of these, you can see the input or output, and you can also see any exception in case of errors. If you get back here, you can see all of your history for each single execution. So if you run these from your application or so on, and you have some failed instances, you could come to this execution and you could go inside, and it will show you how this execution behaved, what was the error. In case of error, you can go into the inputs and outputs and so on, so you can have a full picture about why this execution has failed. So this completes our demo on Step Functions. As you see here, we have created 9 Lambda functions, and we have orchestrated them using Step Functions as a workflow to do this business process. So now we finished testing our state machine from the console by starting manual executions. I'm heading back to this slide to remind you of what we said about this demo. So we will integrate our state machine with API gateway to expose kind of a REST endpoint to our state machine. This is more of an integration point for other systems to call your state machine, and later on we will integrate the state machine with S3 to form a kind of a batch processing. When we upload a file to the S3 bucket, it will automatically trigger a Lambda function that will start our state machine processing the order files that we have uploaded to this bucket. So let's get into it.